On this day in history, January 28th, 814, the death of Charlemagne, the first Holy Roman Emperor, brings about the ascension of his son Louis the Pious as ruler of the Frankish Empire. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, going over the history of the emperor. Louis I, born 778, died 840, surnamed the Pious. Roman Emperor, third son of the Emperor Charlemagne and his wife Hildegard, was born at Chasseneuil in central France, and crowned King of Aquitaine in 781. His tastes were ecclesiastical rather than military. The government of his kingdom was mainly conducted by his counselors. In 794 or 795 he married Ermengarde, daughter of Ingram, Count of Hospen. After the deaths of his two elder brothers, Louis, at his father's command, crowned himself co-emperor at Aix-la-Chapelle on September 11, 813, and became sole ruler in the following January. He earned the surname of Pious by banishing his sisters and others of immoral life from court, by attempting to reform and purify monastic life, and by showing great liberality to the church. In October 816 he was crowned emperor at Rheims by Pope Stephen IV, and at Aix in July 817 he arranged for a division of his empire among his sons. This was followed by a revolt of his nephew, Bernard, King of Italy, but the rising was easily suppressed, and Bernard was killed, although in 818 Louis pardoned the followers of Bernard and restored their estates. In 819 he married Judith, daughter of Welf I, Count of Bavaria, who in 823 bore him a son, Charles, afterwards called the Bald. With the support of Judith's eldest stepson, Lothair, a district was carved out for Charles in 829. Discontent at this arrangement led to a rebellion in the following year. Provoked by Judith's inquiries with her favorite Bernard, Count of Barcelona, Lothair and his brother Pippin joined the rebels, and after Judith had been sent into a convent and Bernard had fled to Spain, an assembly was held at Compiègne, when Louis was practically deposed and Lothair became the real ruler of the empire. But at a second assembly held at Nimwegen in October 830, he was restored to power. Further trouble between Pippin and his father led to the nominal transfer of Aquitaine from Pippin to his brother Charles in 831. The emperor's plans for a division of his dominions then led to a revolt of his three sons. Louis met him in June 833 near Colmar, but owing possibly to the influence of Pope Gregory IV, who took part in the negotiations, he found himself deserted by his supporters, and the treachery and falsehood which marked the proceedings gave to the place the name of Lugenfeld, or Field of Lies. Judith, charged with infidelity, was again banished. Louis was sent into the monastery of Saint Medard at Soissons, and the government of the empire was assumed by his sons. But when the younger Louis had failed to induce Lothair to treat the emperor in a more becoming fashion, he and Pippin took up arms on behalf of their father. The result was that in March 834, Louis was restored to power at Saint Denis. Judith returned, and the kingdoms of Louis and Pippin were increased. The struggle with Lothair continued until the autumn, and he submitted to the emperor and was confined to Italy. An assembly at Didenhofen declared the deposition of Louis to have been contrary to law, and a few days later he was publicly restored in the Cathedral of Metz. In December 838, Pippin died, and the empire, except Bavaria, the kingdom of Louis, was now divided between Lothair, reconciled to his father, and Charles. The emperor was returning from suppressing a revolt on the part of his son Louis when he died on June 20th, 840, on an island in the Rhine near Ingelheim. He was buried in the church of St. Arnulf at Metz. Louis, who is also called Le Debonair, counts as Louis I, King of France.